I watched it unfold like a slow-motion car crash. The email wasn't meant for me. At Layla's billing rate to clients will remain at $300 per hour, but keep her at $12 per hour through Q4. She doesn't have the leverage to negotiate. Single mom, community, college background, classic hungry immigrant kid syndrome. She'll take whatever we give her. Damn, my fingers froze above my keyboard. My throat tightened. The message was from Garrett, our fearless CEO, to HR. And somehow, it got CC'd to the entire dev team. 3 seconds. That's how long the silence lasted before the panic set in. Before the frantic recall attempt. Before his office door slammed shut. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring, watching 26 lines of back-end code blur into meaningless characters as something sharp and cold lodged itself in my chest. My name is Layla Ortiz. I was 31 when this happened, and for 9 months I'd been rebuilding Axion Dynamics client portal from scratch, on ramen noodles and a threadbare prayer. If you're watching this on my channel, drop a comment and hit subscribe. This space has been my therapy since everything imploded. I came to Axion with big dreams and even bigger student loans. My daughter, Maya, was 4 then, sharp, silly, and chronically ill. Her medication cost more than my rent. My ex, he disappeared to Costa Rica with his yoga instructor. All he left behind was a post-it note and an erratic child support record. When I interviewed at Axion, Garrett Pembroke leaned back in a leather chair that probably cost more than my car. He said they were taking a chance on me. My code was promising but raw. They'd start me at $12 an hour with a review in 6 months. We're a family here, he said, showing me photos from lavish company retreats. Later, I'd learn only senior staff got to go. I believed him. I had to. Maya's insurance needs weren't optional. On day 1, they shoved me into the corner cubicle next to the bathroom. My desk wobbled. My PC wheezed like it had survived the Y2K panic. It took 14 minutes to boot. My training? A stack of dusty documentation and a shrug, but I figured it out. I stayed late. I read between the lines of broken systems nobody else would touch. I patched bugs from the Reagan era. I streamlined what no one had bothered to understand. In 3 months, clients were requesting me. You make this stuff so easy to understand, they said. No one's ever explained it like that before. I had no idea Axion was billing $300 an hour for my work. I was still making $12, but the 6-month review never came. When I finally asked about it, Garrett didn't even look up from his phone. We're tightening belts, Layla. The economy, you get it. That same day, I overheard him on a call booking his 3rd vacation of the year. A yacht trip in the Maldives. I started eating lunch in my car. Partly to save the vending machine cash. Mostly because I couldn't stomach watching executives order $200 sushi for their meetings while I rationed applesauce cups for Maya. It all boiled over one Tuesday in July. The AC was broken in our bullpen, only. Our floor, of course. Upstairs, the execs were wearing jackets. I was sticking to my chair, debugging a critical issue no one warned me about until 9 a.m. Garrett strolled in at 11:30, sun-kissed from golf. How's that Meridian project coming? He asked, like I was invisible. They're our biggest client. No room for errors. Almost done, I muttered. I'd been there since 5 a.m. Good, he said, checking his new Rolex. They're paying premium for the rush job, so make it perfect. Something in me cracked. What's the rate Meridian pays for rush work? I asked. He blinked, then shrugged like it was pocket change. $3.50 an hour. Corporate rate. $3.50 for my labor. Still at $12. That night, after Maya fell asleep on our pull-out couch in our 1-bedroom apartment, I opened my old Frankenstein laptop, the Dell I'd assembled from university surplus parts. I didn't just start coding. I designed a planned, sketched out what Axion never let me dream of. By day, I smiled through budget-cut memos. Nodded politely when HR postponed performance reviews while the execs installed imported marble in their bathrooms. By night, I built my answer to Axion. I called it Luma, a client portal so intuitive it made Axion's product look like digital roadkill. I registered my own company, Nova Systems. Just seeing my name on the business docs made my lungs fill up. For the first time in years. 3 months in, my neighbor Pia, a brilliant graphic designer, joined me. She'd been chewed up and spat out by her agency too. After our kids were asleep, we worked side by side at my kitchen table. One night, at 2 a.m., she leaned in and whispered, "They think people like us are just lucky to be here." By month 4, we had a working prototype. By month 5, I got a business loan, on the strength of the code alone. The banker told me, "This is the most impressive self-funded platform I've ever seen." I used that loan to consult a lawyer. Turns out, Axion had been too cheap to use updated employment contracts. No non-compete, no IP clause covering work. Done on my own time with my own equipment. You're in the clear, the lawyer said. They have zero claim. Back at Axion, things deteriorated fast. Garrett hired his nephew, who thought Java and JavaScript were the same thing, at $85 an hour. Meanwhile, my request for a $2 raise got me a TED Talk about paying dues. Then came the client meeting. I wasn't even supposed to be there. Garrett's nephew had tanked a demo for Meridian Technologies, our top client. I got called in to fix it in real time. Sweating, but steady. When I was done, Meridian CEO, Elise Werner, stared at me. Who is this? She asked. Garrett waved a hand. Oh, just one of our junior devs. Layla's been with us about a year. Her eyes didn't leave mine. You built this? I nodded. She reached into her bag, handed me her card. Call me. That was the beginning of the end. Or maybe the beginning of everything. They never saw me coming. But they'll remember when I left. The call with Elise Werner happened 2 days later. I was in the break room reheating leftover spaghetti when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. Layla Ortiz. Yes, this is Elise Werner from Meridian Technologies. I wanted to follow up on our interesting introduction the other day. Suddenly, I wasn't in the break room anymore. I was weightless. She didn't waste time. I looked into Axion's client portal. What you built, the parts you built, stood out like diamonds in drywall. You didn't just salvage that demo. You outclassed your entire company. Thank you, I said quietly. Spaghetti forgotten. I'm building a new vertical. We need a clean, modern infrastructure, one built right from the beginning. I want to see what you're working on. My heart stopped. You're not talking about Axion, are you? No. I'm talking about you, Layla. I think you have something better. I agreed to a video call the next night. I put Maya to bed early, pulled my hair back, put on the one blazer I owned, and fired up the prototype. I walked her through everything: how Luma handled client onboarding in 3 clicks, how invoices generated dynamically based on user activity, how my platform anticipated user behavior with logic that would make a UX team cry tears of joy. Elise didn't smile often, but when she did, it was like a verdict being passed. By the time the call ended, she said, I want in. That week, I secured my first enterprise client, Meridian Technologies, not Axion's client anymore. Mine. I gave my 2 weeks the next morning. Garrett didn't take it well. At first, he thought I was bluffing. You're really going to walk away from your position here? After everything I've done for you? You mean $12 hours, broken hardware, and broken promises? I said, meeting his eyes for the first time without fear. Yeah, I am. You'll regret this, he snapped. It's a small industry. You're right, I said. And people talk. I hope they do. I sent my goodbye email to the team at 4:58 p.m. The subject line read, thank you for everything you taught me, especially what not to become. No dramatic walkout. No slamming doors. Just the quiet click of my badge on the desk and the elevator, carrying me down to street level. Freedom didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like breath. Like my lungs had finally been given permission to expand. Fast forward 6 months, Nova Systems now has 4 full-time employees. Pia is my co-founder. We hired Jamal, a genius front-end developer let go during cost-cutting at his last job. And Marcy, an ex-UX designer who once built wireframes in her car to avoid office harassment. We're not a family, we're a team. A real one. And we pay well. Our first big launch went live 2 weeks ago. Luma is now used by 7 companies, including one that used to be Axion's client. Elise Werner invested personally. Sometimes, I still wake up at 4 a.m. in a panic, half expecting Garrett's emails to ping in or HR to schedule a quick chat. But then I roll over, look at the glowing Nova Systems screensaver on my laptop, and smile. I built this, I built all of this. For years, people like me were told we should be grateful for scraps, that we didn't have leverage, that we weren't supposed to expect more. They called it hunger. Like ambition was a survival disease. But here's what they didn't understand. I wasn't just hungry, I was starving for dignity, for freedom, for something my daughter could be proud of. They thought I'd take whatever they gave me. Instead, I took back everything. And if you're watching this, sitting in your car on your lunch break, wondering if anyone sees what you're capable of, let me tell you, they probably don't. So build it anyway. Build it in secret if you have to. Build it tired. Build it after bedtime stories and instant noodles. Just build that they'll never see you coming, and they'll never forget when you finally arrive. 2 months after our launch, I got an email from Axion's HR department. Dear Ms. Ortiz, we noticed a recent overlap in client engagement with one of our long-standing partners, Meridian Technologies. We'd appreciate the chance to discuss potential overlaps and intellectual property concerns. Please advise when you are available. I didn't respond. Damn, why lawyer did. Per our previous review, Ms. Ortiz has not breached any intellectual property clauses. Furthermore, as your employment contract contained no non-compete agreement and no claim to projects built on her own time and equipment, any suggestion of overlap is legally baseless. They went quiet after that, but that silence was louder than anything Garrett could have said. I knew what it meant that he knew he lost. Not long after, I started getting DMs on LinkedIn. First, it was people I used to work with, quiet messages like, "Hey, Layla, is it true you started something on your own? Saw Luma mentioned in a dev forum. That yours? You hiring?" I answered every message, because I remembered what it felt like to be invisible. I remembered the wobbly desk, the broken AC, the "we're a family, lies." One message stood out. The IT was from Ava, a junior dev from another firm. She wrote, "Your story gave me hope." I thought it was just me getting passed over, underpaid, and ignored. I started my own project last week. Don't know where it'll go, but thank you. I believe I can now. I cried reading that, because that was the point. That IT was never just about revenge, or money, or Garrett. IT was about proving to myself, and others like me, that our ceilings are only real if we accept them. By the end of the first year, we weren't just surviving, we were scaling. That we built onboarding tutorials with actual empathy. That we translated our interface into 3 languages. That we offered mentorship tracks for junior devs who didn't graduate from fancy universities. One of them was Darian, a soft-spoken kid from the Bronx who reminded me of myself when I first started, hungry and tired, but still hopeful. "You're not just learning to code," I told him during a late-night session. "You're learning to build what no one else will give you." And that's what Solaris Digital became, a place where overlooked talent wasn't just tolerated, but cherished. Where people who had been told, "You're lucky to be here," could finally say, "No, you're lucky to have me." Last month, we got an invitation to speak at a tech leadership summit. They wanted me to give a keynote titled, "From Underpaid to Unstoppable." The speaker before me was none other than Garrett Pembroke. He talked about retention strategies and nurturing junior developers. He used big words and empty phrases. People nodded politely. Then I took the stage, and I told them everything: the ramen, the $12 hours, the toilet that wouldn't stop running, the line of code I wrote at 3:17 a.m. that changed my future, the daughter I had to stay strong for, the cold realization that nobody was coming to rescue me. But mostly, I talked about what happens when you stop asking for a seat and start building your own table. I ended with this: if you've ever been underestimated, underpaid, or undervalued, know this: you're not a liability, you're the future. They just haven't figured it out yet. Afterward, a line of people waited to talk to me. Some asked about Luma. Some wanted advice. Some just said thank you, but one face stood off to the side. Garrett. He didn't speak, just nodded, like he finally understood what he'd lost, and I smiled because I finally understood what I'd gained: freedom, dignity, and the power to open doors for others. So, if you're still watching, still listening to my story, drop a comment below. Tell me your name, your dream, your wobbly desk moment, and remember, you don't need their permission, you don't need their approval, you just need to start, because your story, it's not over, not even close. And here's the part no one ever tells you: success doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like small, quiet mornings when no one's awake yet, and you're sipping coffee over code that you control. It feels like signing your first employee's paycheck and knowing you changed the direction of someone else's life. It feels like Zara running up to me one evening and saying, "Mom, I told my teacher you build computers for superheroes." That made everything worth it. We outgrew my kitchen table within 6 months. Now Solaris has an office, not a fancy glass tower, but a bright, cozy space in a refurbished warehouse. Exposed brick, big windows, creaky floors. I kept the table, though. It sits in the center of the break room, surrounded by plants and mismatched chairs. A reminder of where we started. We do things differently here. No fake family slogans. No $300 sushi while the interns eat stale vending snacks. We pay people what they're worth. We give flexible hours, real mentorship, and transparency. Because I remember what it's like to pray for a $2 raise and get told to be grateful. We recently closed our biggest deal yet, an enterprise contract with a client who left Axion because they were tired of being talked down to. Elise Werner herself recommended us. She said, "You turned a broken experience into a beautiful one." That's what companies remember. The other day, Zara asked me if I'd ever go back to work for someone else. I laughed. "No, baby. Mommy builds the blueprints now." So to anyone out there stuck at the wobbly desk, eating lunch in their car, wondering if they'll ever be seen, listen. To me, you already matter. You just need to build something loud enough that they can't ignore you anymore.